Good evening and welcome to an episode of Red True Diaries. I'm not sure which one this is, somewhere around 90 something. It's been too long, and for that I am sorry because I did plan to film one on the winter solstice, December 21st, 2015, and now it is January 14th, 2016. And I did make it through my semester of school with an A, two B's, and a C. And I'm very happy about that. Wish the C was a B, but it's all good. Since then, a lot has happened. But the main things I want to focus on today, it's not about catching up, but I'm going to do my best to stay focused. This will be a long episode, just because I have a lot of things that I would like to cover. So, let's see. One of the first things I am going to read from Earth Medicine about the time of year we're transitioning from, which is known as the Goose, and that correlates to Capricorns, and that's the time of year we're in right now. And January 20th we transitioned into the time of Aquarius, which according to this is the Otter, I believe. I'm going to go over that. And so, yeah, that's in 6 days, which is why I'm going to do both in tonight's episode, because I do find it important and relevant. And I was reading over it last night, especially for this upcoming time. And it was good. It was inspiring because I actually was feeling pretty down. Yeah, it's been an intense past 2 days. So one of the things I did since I've been on break from school is visit Seattle, Washington, where I've spent some time living already, and have some friends I went to see. And I knew before I left that it was going to be hard to come back because I love it there so much. I love the land. And I also knew that my period was due the day after I got back. I got back this past Monday the 11th, and my period was due Tuesday the 12th, and it's Thursday the 14th, and I'm not pregnant, but it's late, and I know that flying and the time zones, it messes with a woman's cycle. And for me, being so regular and liking to plans to do or not do certain things, this is really like fucking up all my shit. Like, I'm not happy about this at all. Like, it still hasn't started. I'm like, what the fuck? Because tomorrow is a long day for me at work. And it also means, for the most part, going forward, like say next month, then it's more likely that my period is going to fall on a weekend, which weekends tend to be busier for me at work. So I'm like, man, if only there was a way to induce it. Though I do know one of my friends, she has. There are some herbs you can actually take, some like herbal tinctures that do help it to start sooner, because when she was going away, she wanted to already have had her period and be going off of it by the time she was visiting a place so that she could be with the man she wanted to be with. So, for me, it's just more, it's like prolonged and tortured PMS. My boobs are super sore, which that's fine, but man, you know, the person I would like to be massaging them lives a bit far, and so that's just not going to happen before I bleed. And yeah, there's nothing like so I've been massaging them, but like I said, it's just not the same. And could go for a full body massage in general, but I just don't really have the time to make for that. In any case, though, I will say, for a girl or her mate, that is a wonderful gift you can give by just, not even sexually, but just doing, a typical massage all around your breasts, and nothing too hard, just nice and light. It's just absolutely wonderful. I used to have a boyfriend do it years ago regularly, and that was just amazing. So, yeah, and actually took a nap earlier and dreamt of a bath. That is a very good thing to do in the meantime, too. But there's, not a whole lot other than, say, limiting your diet and consumption of alcohol. sugar, salt, things to help make certain PMS symptoms a little bit easier, just as a little tip. And I'm not really abiding by some of those laws, but whatever, especially while I was away. And and speaking of saying, all right, one of the things I'm going to segue into in terms of sexual energy in our periods, give me 1 second, is this website. There's an email that I received from my lover, and it was funny that I don't know if he thought I knew this already or was just sharing because I thought I would be interested, but this is something I've already applied in my life. And I don't know if I'll read the entire thing because there's just, again, so many other things I'd like to go over. You know, it's not that long. I do remember that. So this article, and it's about transcending sexual energy for other spiritual, creative purposes, and which I found very stimulating in terms of my lover sending me something that just is about expanding my sexual energy, and his too. Just awesome. All right, so this is by L.J. Vanier, I believe her name is, or his name. I think it's a female. Anyway, sexual energy is the energy of life itself. It is the source of all creation and the essence of the universe. It has always been a quest for humanity to harness the sexual energy and use it to transform higher states of consciousness. The desire for sexual, this is a quote by Napoleon Hill, by the way. The desire for sexual expression is by far the strongest and most impelling of all the human emotions. And for this very reason, this desire, when harnessed and transmuted into action, other than that of physical expression, may raise one to the status of genius. I even said, I must be a genius 2 or 3 times over because I've actually had a few periods of celibacy. I'm talking like 2 years of celibacy where I didn't even kiss anyone for a while. In large part, before reading anything like this, to focus more on my creative endeavors. I found myself getting distracted when I would date people, getting too caught up in their dramas, and my own too, admittedly. But yeah, I can handle more of my dramas than I on my own, as opposed to, say, especially someone who isn't good at handling their dramas. Bring us both together, and I'm such an empath that their drama becomes my drama, and I'd like to help and work on theirs. But say if they don't and they're just completely happy, with some types of crazy drama I'm not, then there I am linked and feeling and going through things with them and neglecting the things that are really important to me to tend to. So all right, moving on back to the article. According to Napoleon, the term genius can be characterized simply by one's ability to increase the vibrations of thought to the point where one can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through the ordinary rate of vibration of thought. Therefore, by harnessing this libido energy rather than exasperating it during sexual intercourse or masturbation, we can wield it into a creative power that elevates our consciousness. Now, having said that, let's be honest. For the most of us, we're not going to just stop doing it, especially if we are not at the point in our spiritual journey that calls for a period of celibacy, as found in many shamanic practices, as well as other religious and spiritual teachings. So what can we do to still get the benefits without diving full-fledged into abstinence? Number 1, set your focus. We all require some type of external stimuli, whether this is just a memory or visualization in your head. We all need something to focus on. Instead of using pornography or fantasy, set your intention on something more creative and incorporate the law of attraction into your practice. For example, you'd love that promotion at work, or you liked how you created with another person or several people, and everything just seemed to flow. Anything, just get creative. Set your goal of what you want to achieve and birth it into creation, so to speak. It is the most powerful energy in the entire universe. Use it to your advantage. Number 2, onk it. I don't want to go through all of these. This one's going to take too much time. Onking is you know, what I'm going to do, all right, and then the other one, all right, the anking is starting, like, say, with around your belly button and doing certain circles. I think it's going upward for women and downward. Yeah. Women, start with your first circle upwards towards the heart, and men downwards towards the root. You will find with this technique that your orgasms become more potent and fulfilling, all the while ensuring proper energy flow. And the last one is replenish, which is traditional Chinese healing, has always involved putting energy in and collecting energy through the sacral, the area just below or at the navel. And when you are finished, keep your hand over your sacral chakra and hold it for up to 2 minutes. This will allow for the energy to be replaced as well as energy expelled to be recovered. And that's it. I just didn't really want to get into all the Ankh one. It's better if you read it. And it's, again, if you Google, the title of it is After Reading This, You Won't Masturbate the Same Way Ever Again. And again, the person, it's from the website theopenmind.com, and the article is written by L.J. Vanier, V-A-N-I-E-R. And, all right, so that's that. It really does work, and it is a wonderful tool to use. I've done different experiences and highly recommend them. I've done different experiments and highly recommend experimenting with different things regarding your own sexuality, spirituality, and energy, and see for yourself. One of the hardest for me has been doing both. Say, one time I masturbated, I orgasmed, at least had one every day for 30 days because a friend of mine told me she does it every day, and I was just like, I can't imagine, but I'm curious to see what it's like. And oh my gosh, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks in, I didn't even want to, but for the sake of science and just doing authentic research, I kept at it, and that was not fun. It was fun. Like, sometimes it took me almost an hour to have an orgasm. I never had it take an hour before. And I know in part because I was doing it too. I was overstimulating myself because I wasn't always just having one. What I tend to do, what I have found that works for me, is go a couple of weeks. If I go more than 2, that's usually a bit too much or too long, let's say. And then after a couple weeks or so, then I'll have anywhere from like 3 to 10 or more, give or take. And I'm quite content. And, I might have more a few days later, but it's rarely, say, back to back to back. But again, I think it's important for you to explore for yourself. And yet the other route, I will say, I was recently thinking, after reading this, of trying to see how long I could go without any orgasms, period. One experiment I did was just stimulating myself for a month, but not allowing myself to orgasm. And that was pretty amazing. Good God, and I wasn't dating anyone either, so I was like electric. That's what I was like, that was fun. I might do that again, and just constantly be in a state of stimulation in some way, shape, or form. Be on the border, but nothing that makes you feel like on edge in a bad way. It was nice. So, all right. Okay, and it's funny, I am in such a good mood right now, but really, yesterday and the day before, all right, so again, we're at Thursday and Monday. So Monday was the day I got back from Seattle and I found out that David Bowie had died, which really, I mean, it's not like I was a huge Bowie fan all my life, but I really loved him and Iman as a couple. I just really looked up. I mean, that takes a lot. I mean, he was David Bowie. For him to marry, even though she's a supermodel, still a black woman, was huge in terms of his courage. Only 7% of white men date outside of their race. 7% worldwide, not just in America. I don't remember where I read that stat, but it was given, I believe, in my sociology class. And it just made more sense. I was like, okay. Because it was a big deal that my mom had sex with a white guy and produced me. You're more likely to see black men with white women than the other way around. And especially, say, when it comes to marriage. So for him having done that and always coming off as a gentleman, and His music was always so original, creative, and especially after his death, I've only learned more about him and how important it was to him to defy convention and the norms. And on through his last album, which I bought that night, Black Star, and I've been so, oh my gosh, I didn't even get into that. Good grief. Okay. How obsessed I am now with astronomy, astrophysics, quantum physics, dark matter, dark energy, space and time. After school ended, I finally had some time to explore certain things on my own, and it's just been, yeah, that has consumed me in a lot of ways. So Black Star, and I believe it is a reference also to antimatter and black holes, and he was into say such as Ziggy Stardust being an alien, his persona who's visiting Earth. He was just on another planet, man, and I absolutely adore what he brought to our culture, say our global culture, as people and as artists, as human beings, musicians, and I think he even went to art school. Just phenomenal. And it was very depressing in ways because of my hormones, as well as coming back from Seattle, finding out that he died. And of course, very few knew, and so it was released to us publicly all at once. And the music was just shamanic. I'm so proud at how he made this final project with open eyes and such an open heart. It was such the true gift that he knew he was giving to the world. And it was 2 days after his 69th birthday, and he's a Capricorn, so we're in a Capricorn time of year. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and read that, and then I'm going to go into the Otter, what we're about to transition into now, and then I'm going to end with this awesome, sexy dance performance that's inspired me to dance more, and especially from my sexual energy. It's awesome. Okay, Goose. And I'm not going to get too much into this. You know what? Yeah, I'll just, all right. I'll talk about the north winds, the solar influences regarding the Goose, which is December 22nd to January 19th, also known as Capricorn. Has a lot to do with the solstice, the winter solstice, the shortest day and longest night. And let me tell you, winter, especially in Philadelphia, can be such a bitch. It hasn't been terribly cold, nor has it snowed much, but it's still rough. All right. The north winds are associated with purity and renewal and are at their most powerful when the earth lies dormant and in the grip of winter. It is a time when man and animals seek shelter and warmth from the wind's sharp and penetrating bite and withdraw from external activities to turn inward and to look forward to the warmer and brighter days to come. The influence of the north winds is paradoxical, for it is not seen solely as the cold air that turns water into ice or causes the ice crystals to dance on the leaves of the evergreen trees. It is a hidden, internalized power that works unseen and unfelt. It is the power whose energy penetrates down into the dormant sea that lays asleep beneath the earth's hard and frozen surface, but is being purified and prepared so that it will be seen to burst into new life when the sun returns to cover the earth in a warm embrace. The north winds then encourage patience and inward growth and renewal of the mind and body. They help too to establish purity of intent and purpose. This power of the north was represented by some Indian tribes by the totem of the buffalo. In times when the survival of a tribe was dependent on